Boom, boom, boom. Yes, beautiful. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode where we discuss Married at First Sight. Yes, we're discussing episode 14 here. If you watched it, then you already know there was such, I guess, heated moments. One or two, maybe the table situation. Somebody was saying they didn't like somebody's behavior and calling somebody else out and not being able to look at their own behavior. But we'll get onto that person. We also saw as well my favorite people. You already know my Miles and Karen. You already know I'm on somebody's neck. So I appreciate the conversation that Miles had with Woody. So that for me was an eye opener too. And I think there's gonna be some great conversation today around relationships and marriage, and also as well calling things out. Should we be calling things out? If you see it, should you call it out? If it's foolishness, do we call it out? So yeah, guys, yet again, we're here with our favorite paneled guests. We're here with Curtis and Sophie. I will allow them to introduce themselves as always, and then we'll get into some really good, deep discussions. I'll let Curtis go first, and then let a lovely Sophie go after to introduce yourself.
Appreciate the panel opportunity. This is Marriage UK. We have those discussions, same as we're having here, around relationships, marriage, single or divorced. We're talking about it, helping people navigate that challenging, confusing, and difficult journey. That's me.
Okay. And as my name says, I am Sophie Hannah. I'm a content creator, so I do a show called Ethnically Speaking, which comes on YouTube, talking about current affairs and political issues and just everything in between. So make sure you check that out. It's called Ethnically Speaking. And for everything that I'm doing, just go to I am Sophie Hannah. I am Sophie Hannah on Instagram. I am Sophie Hannah on YouTube. Subscribe, trying to get my numbers up this year. So help me to hit my little goal of 200 subscribers this year.
Beautiful. Love that. So, guys, we're going to jump straight into the conversation. We're not going to waste no time. Now, usually I do start with Miles and Karen, but I want to savor them a little bit, okay? Okay? Today, I want to
start you can come for them harder. Only so you can come for them harder.
You don't know, because I've got notes upon notes. So, but we'll leave them a little bit later today. I want to talk about, I think, Christina and Henry, because you know what? I'm just going to talk about one moment and let you guys kind of discuss it. The moment for me, I think that really got me in my feelings was when Christina decided on the table to start talking about Brett and how she felt like this person is an person and she's encountered people like that, and then started crying as if she was the one that was dating the brother. And I felt that was a little bit disingenuous. First of all, because Olivia's not here. And number two, it's not your relationship. Number three, you got your own problems. You need to focus on yours. You understand? So I don't know. What did you guys feel about Christina in this particular episode as well?
So what you're saying is that if there's a relationship with someone that you know, a friend, and you see something real wrong or a red flag, you're gonna keep silent? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I just wouldn't have done what Christina did. I don't think she needs to blow up on the table. It's almost like you were trying to get plaudits. We don't need your plaudits. I think we could all see that Brett was a little bit some way, okay? But your friend wasn't innocent either, okay? So for me, that was my thing.
This is my thing. Like when you're talking about someone else's situation, and when Amani went to help Olivia move out, her thing was, she was talking to the camera and Olivia's, tried everything that she could. I'm just like, has she?
I was like, Money, please, girl.
And I'm just like, this is what happens when we want to talk about other people's relationship and we don't know nothing about it. Everybody knows your relationship is never going to be what other people think that it is. Like, God willing, it's going to be better. Amen. God willing, it's going to be better than the Instagram pictures or what people see on social media. But you will see someone that loved up, and next thing you know, you hear them break up, or there's a massive crisis, or someone's cheated on somebody, things that can be worked through. But the point is, never put somebody else's relationship on a pedestal. And with us seeing the footage of Olivia, we're like, there was work that both of them could have done. So that's one thing. Christina, you're not even coming home to your husband, but you want to talk about, you could see the red flags with Brett. I was just like, we need to take several sit downs, Christina, because we need to, this is the portion of the time when we need to not be making comments. We don't have anything to say, Christina. We're just going to sit down and listen to other people's marriage advice because our marriage is in trouble. So I think everyone, just Woody's face was just like,
Several points.
Bruh. You know, I like what you said about calling out other people's relationships. If there's one thing I've learned in life, and that there's two sides to every coin.
Yep.
And whenever you hear, oh, she split up, or he was acting this way, or he cheated, even down to he's cheated. People don't want to hear me say this, right? Or she's cheating or whatever. Certain things, actually, there is always two sides to the coin.
Story.
And it's not that we're saying that it's okay to cheat or we're not justifying bad behavior, but behind the behavior, there's something going on. So when we're talking about other people's relationships,
gotta be careful.
Yeah, we have to be careful. We don't really know the whole story. We just have to be careful that we talk about it. And the other side, and the other thing I wanted to say was, it's so important when you're hearing about dysfunction to learn from it as opposed to jump on a wagon and start cooking something up, you know. And that is joined to the whole issue of there's two sides to this. But when you come, like, if I'm hearing someone, you know, sometimes, I mean, over the years when I've been together, and you know, when you're married or not, or single, you know, you hear about other people's relationships.
Yeah, you do.
And we would be like, boy, let's learn. Even my best boy, he's no longer alive, and he was getting divorced. And in fact, one of my best boys, I should be clear, I'm going public with that. I have more than one best friend. He said to me, we're getting divorced. And I was like, bro. So then when we had spoken to him, the same night when he and I were up saying, let us learn. I'm not here. I'm not going to pick up, oh, she's this, he's that. Let's learn from this. His failure is for our benefit too. So I'm not going to be poking sticks at someone else's relationship and trying to pull it down whilst it's struggling. I'm here to just say, what can I gain from this experience, man?
Yeah, I think that's 100%. Same thing with me and my husband. We heard about some people that we know who are having some marital issues going on, and there's been some infidelity. And we were just kind of like, you know, given the right circumstances, that could easily be us. Like, what are we doing to make sure that, you know, somebody else, that we're watering our garden and not thinking about how good it looks over there? Because we were saying it's so easy to get caught up in infidelity and the newness and the excitement. It's like, oh, my wife just talks to me about taking the bins out, and we're just talking about mortgages and house prep. And whereas this other person, oh, it's just fun all the time and exciting. But I'm like, it's not real life. So, but we're saying it could very be easy us if we don't take for granted what it is that we have. And always realize it's always going to take work, because you could leave your spouse and go and get with someone else, and then you're going to still have the same work. There's still going to be work. Yeah, like no relationship is perfect, and the reason why I can say that's so easy, because it's every relationship. If you've had a friend that you've been friends with for 10 years, that relationship is not what it was 10 years ago. And in order for it to have grown as you've grown, you've had to probably go through times when you've had to learn and grow and forgive each other, even as friends, let alone in a romantic relationship. So,
you know what? There are some. I like what you're saying. There are some things about my marriage we don't want it to. I do not mind exposing or talking about. Because number one, because I actually don't care what other people think. It's water off my back, because my focus is my domain. And when I decide to talk about someone else's relationship in a way that isn't really productive, only a reflection on who I am and how my relationship is. Do you get me? I find that the people who talk like that tend to have just as much dysfunction as the people that they're talking about. And obviously Christina sadly just kind of fell into that trap. It's a trap. And I think obviously it alludes to then moving on to when the way she was talking around the table and letting things out. There's stuff that she's gone through that she hasn't spoken about, which is all connected to how she used the word lies. She lies.
She lies.
Yeah. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, there's no excusing that. There's no spells escaping that one. Sorry, excuse me. She does tell lies, and
the text that she couldn't find, Curtis.
And make things up.
My husband was watching that, and he was just like, "How if you ever, and then you can't find the text? We can't find the text." And
listen,
don't come with lies like that in the 21st century where everything is backed up on the iCloud.
Yeah,
and you can find my phone is linked to my watch, linked to my desktop. I'm just like, don't come with those lies when you have nothing to back it up. And she was just like, and he's good, because I'd have been like, no, we're gonna keep finding. Don't worry. I studied journalism at university, and as one of our modules, we had to go to the local courthouse, sit down and watch a case for free, a real life court case, and then we had to write like a 500-word essay on it or whatever. And when I went to this court case, it was so interesting, but I'll spare you the details. They pulled up text messages from 3 years talking about, you said you weren't in a relationship, but text message at 10:07 said, and this said that. I'm just like, don't come, like everything is backed up. So don't come to me and talk about you want to make some big assumption and talk about my sexuality and then don't have anything to say where you got this from. She was bang out of order. And I think from what she said, she's, in my opinion, obviously gone through abuse. Obviously. When she talked about that letter to her past self, and she was saying, you know, people are gonna do things to you, and like, you know, how you're gonna feel about yourself because of it, and you should be saying, you know, you're gonna feel like you can't stand up and say no, but if you don't like it, if you don't enjoy it, you should say something, and it's gonna affect you, and you're gonna. And I was like, all the things that have happened to you are going to put, I'm just like, she's obviously talking about some form of abuse, whatever that is. And I very much take that into consideration of where she is, but she obviously needs to go and work through that and process all of that, because I wouldn't be surprised if the line is linked to that. I wouldn't be surprised in her mind, if my husband doesn't want me sexually, then there must be something wrong. Apart from the fact that, well, actually the relationship isn't going well. So he's just like, I'm not just going to jump on you because we're married. So there's a lot going on with Christina.
I did say something's happened to that girl. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's in the language.
Yeah.
And the behavior. And you know, we mentioned last week, it could be that she is just one of those sexually open kind of girls. But a lot of the time in studies, the links are clear. I'm not saying I know, but the links are clear. It's a combination of things that just say, and it's sad because this is the amazing way that God looks at us sometimes. It's like you are both a culprit and a victim at the same time. And so I kind of I sorry for her, but come on, Christina, man, come on, you know, when she's 30, come on, push through, man.
What do you mean by push through? What do you mean by push through, though, Curtis?
Oh, what I mean by that is I want people to go deeper than their symptomatic behavior. You know, I want people to push beyond acting up. I'm not going to blame Sophie for my actions and manipulate her because I'm not dealing with my stuff. I've got to push through the surface of who I am and reach in. I'm glad you asked me because it's good to clear that up.
The thing is, I think that what you're saying is right, but only if you have the tools to do so, and she doesn't. Right. I think that you sound like somebody who has either sat down, read some books, gone through counseling, and is just like, I now have the awareness to know I need to deal with my stuff and not make somebody else answer for the things that I haven't resolved in my own life. And I don't think Christina has looked at it or worked on it at all. And the way that she is coping in a marriage is showing up that you need to deal with this. Like Henry has some issues, and like you said, Henry's a problem in some ways, but you're going to keep having this problem in relationships if you don't deal with the issues that you're going with.
With her, it's detrimental. Henry could probably slide through a lot easier, and you'll find someone that will tolerate. But for her, it's detrimental. But this brings me on to that issue of I'm very frustrated with the counselors for not knuckling down on some of their issues to help them get through to the side of that wall. Do you know what I mean? These are walls that have gone up protective. protecting their hearts. And I'm like, counselors, Calvin, Dr. So-and-so, come on, help them knock these walls down. Just do something. Don't just let us be watching these guys be dysfunctional, because this is life and death. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I think it is life and death, especially with Christina, because like you said, I think the dysfunction that she has, I always say this, everyone's got a bit of dysfunction in them, right? But certain dysfunction is destructive. That's the problem. It's like her dysfunction leads to destruction. And that is where the problem comes from. So it's not malignant, it's destructive. And unfortunately, we've seen parts of it. So and it's funny that you said it earlier on as well, because the mercy that she needs is the same mercy she couldn't give to Henry. So when Henry was given his exposure about how deep he felt about his own insecurities, she couldn't give that same mercy, right? And again, like you were saying, that's almost a reflection of herself, you know. So she couldn't give him that mercy, and she needs that mercy herself. But absolutely right. I think this is where the counselors are absolutely quintessentially needed, because as Sophia said, you sometimes just can't see the dysfunction in yourself. Like, you know, it's there, but you don't have the tools to even reach in and see yourself that way. And not everyone's built to be introspective. I think a lot of people move very fast in life, you know, but they people don't slow down. So it's very hard to then look at oneself and go, "Wow, you know what? Me, I've got a lot of darkness in my ears. I need to work on these parts." So I think for Christina, she just needs someone to get a hold of her and say, "Listen, Christina, sit down. These things that you're doing at the moment is mad." Because not only that, she actually justified the reason why she lied. I just need that. You have to deep it. The person knew they lied and justify that they lied. I was like, Christina, you can't justify. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of the dysfunction. It gets to a critical point. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
This is where you need friends who hold you to task.
Well, her friends didn't do that.
You need at least one that will say, "What are you doing?"
I hear this. Also, Henry. I got to talk about Henry, because as much as we're slating Christina, Henry was a little bit cheeky this week. He was definitely cheeky this week, because he had lit for everybody else's relationship, but he himself was talking in circles with Bennett and Miles and Woody it wasn't Woody. I think it was Bennett and Miles, basically on the couch, when he was kind of saying why things weren't going too great with Christina, but he wasn't really saying anything. Like, he was talking in absolute circles. And I was like, Henry, if you're gonna talk. If you're not gonna talk, shut up.
He wasn't talking. He said nothing.
I mean, he said nothing and a lot. When he talked, I was just like, what? I'm not sure I understand what it is you're trying to say, Henry. And I think that Henry is not utilizing a space with people who are getting it a lot better than him. And there is people at various stages. So I think with Miles and Karen, I know we're gonna come on to that, so I'm not gonna touch it too much.
Just wait. Hold it.
Miles and Karen, we saw in the game show, like, there's obviously a knowing of each other there.
Yes.
There's obviously there. With Bennett, we see that those two have a bit more of a knowing, Woody and Amani. So my thing is, like, if you're around people that have skills that you don't, Henry, open up and say wagwan, so that you can get maybe a little support or manly time to really talk about what it is that is going on and how you can make it better. He completely squandered that opportunity. And sometimes I want to congratulate him for sticking at it. But other times I'm like, why are you even there if you don't actually want to work on it? It's just a waste of your time. It's just a waste of his time. I don't know.
I wonder if behind the scenes the producers are really trying to make sure that people just stay in the show. Manipulating them. I don't know if there's contractual issues, you know. I don't know. Because Henry, I'm just convinced from episode 1 that Henry does not want to be there. He saw her, and I think, you know, this is one of the reasons why I couldn't do this show, is because I need to see this person at least for 10 minutes before.
That's not the point. You have to see them at the altar. Otherwise, how many people would back out?
Call it married after 5 minutes. I'll make a show called Married After 5 Minutes. I just need to clock certain things.
What about if you don't like what you saw though, Curtis?
Say again?
What about if you saw and you were like, that's not my portion?
Then it's not my portion.
I'm gone. I need to scope. For a few minutes. And if I'm like, nah, I'm not getting married to you. And so I think with Henry, that was the case. He looked at him for. I think Henry was just a nice petite blonde hair girl who's quiet. Henry's just he's a serious introvert. He's not a social. He is social with people he knows, but he's a serious introvert. He does not need a girl hounding him on that level, especially if he's not attracted to her. It's just not going to work. And why they're sticking at it, I don't know. I think Henry at moments has had a sense of hope.
Yeah,
but I think there's the majority of his mind is like, I don't think this is going to work. I'm just going to see how it goes. He probably doesn't even got the social guts to just end it. He's not got the guts to walk out the door.
Yeah, I think it takes a certain type of woman to be with Henry, to be honest, because I don't know if I want to forever be dragging stuff out of you, dragging your personality out of you. Like, my husband's an introvert. Do you know what I mean? I'll give him a gift and he'll be like, thanks, babe, love it. And I'm just like, I need some excitement. I was just
Where's
like,
your tears? Where are your tears? Why are you not on the floor crying?
I want a big reaction. Do you know what I mean? I spent time thinking about this. I've sourced it from here. It's taken weeks. I've saved up. Like, I want a big reaction. Let alone Henry, who's just Henry doesn't give anything. Anything.
So
and
hard.
like, so I'd be like, this is too much work for what? What am I getting from this?
Yeah, but it's work for you. But see, someone like Henry just wants to have a nice, deep intellectual conversation.
I think that's where his level is. Yeah,
stimulate the brother on an oral level, on an oral level. What do they call it? Listening, learning style. Where he likes to hear and converse like that. I mean, meet him at his love language level. You know? At the early stages, we struggle with that.
Look. He's making it really tough. They say the reason why there's a honeymoon period, apparently, so some psychologists said, is that the honeymoon period, when it gets difficult, you have this period where you can remember things being good and how happy and wonderful it is. So it helps you to hang in there a bit longer. Apparently, I don't know if that's true or not. But if that is true, I'm like, Henry, you haven't even given me something to hold on to. You're just giving me nothing. So it's just it's a very bad match, and I think she probably I don't want to bag Christina because I think she's had a lot going on, but I don't know if she was completely honest about who she was when she entered this process, because I think if she'd have been honest, I don't see how they would have put them two together. Everyone else, you can see why the psychiatrists are so, you can see why they put them together. Even if it's not working, you can see why. But for those two, I'm like, they're so different. I think she was saying something completely different during the stages to get on the show.
Yeah, I agree. And even the comment that's put there, I'll be honest with you, they had to drag it out of Henry several times. Do you think she's good looking? Do you think she's pretty?
Tall.
Do you think she's attractive? He could not say it outward. And so for me, that was me when I said, yeah, he checked out. He done checked out because he couldn't say it.
I think Jane Joe, you might be right, because he said this week when they played that little couples game at the end, his dream woman was Kate Beckinsale. And in terms of looks, she's
what she look like.
She's got brown hair, but she's what we would call an English rose.
Okay.
So if you don't know Kate Beckinsale, she kind of looks like, she's got that kind of Kate Middleton look, like Prince William's wife. Yeah. It's that kind of slim, petite, thin features, long brown hair, a kind of middle-classy type, British middle-class type look. And that's
he's into politics, isn't he? So, you know, I think he's into politics, isn't he? He's into something like that. Yeah, he can't take Christina into politics. You can't.
So not Olivia. Christina's not that look, and she's not that personality. She's
not
got
that
the brown
polished
hair,
for him.
yes, but she's not exactly perfect word. She hasn't got that polished English look that he seems to want. And if that's what he wants, I can see why he's just kind of like, when he saw her, she wasn't the one for me, but.
Also, she also didn't help as well, because in the beginning, when his dad was doing all those funny jokes, she was there doing kiki kaki with her dad as well. And I felt to myself, I don't think Henry takes too kindly to these jokes, but he just rolls with it. And then you got your own missus do too, kicking and cacking too alongside the dad too. It just looks like now this person will do the exact same thing that my dad did to me. And I already thought I was abusive anyway. Because I just don't think Henry can take them kind of jokes. Personally, I don't think he takes them jokes too kindly. I think he takes a little bit to heart. It goes inside. You may not see it outwardly, but it's inside. He takes it in his brain, and it's like, that's not for me. You know what I mean? And when you got your girl now kicking and cacking with a dad when you first got married, I don't know if that's going to also be a part of it, thinking, I don't know if I can be doing a whole marriage with somebody else.
So what's she going to do with my friend? What's she going to do with my brethrens then? Like, she going to be...
Yeah, but we don't. Well, his brethren, obviously the brethren were girls, so you know that you know, I don't know how that was going to go down because they didn't like her either. So I personally think, I forgot that he did politics, so I think that's also a big thing. You know, if you go into politics, you need a polished type of gal. You know what I mean? Because you are going into a thing where image is very important. You're trying to portray a certain lifestyle. Maybe that also might have played a part in it, and maybe the intellectual part maybe just wasn't kicking it.
Well, I don't. No disrespect to her at all. I don't actually understand the match. And I'm trying to understand her personality. But much more people who are more qualified and skilled than me will identify traits that were more beneficial for Henry. But I actually can't see her traits because I think that she's misguided. She's delusioned herself and everybody else as to who she really is. So I think she's got some soul searching to do. And I get that. Who doesn't?
Yeah. Oh, I think what Donnell said on here in terms of he's got a great sense of humor and he has female friends. It's just that she's not he's responding to her the way that he does his dad. I think that I can see certain aspects of why the councils put them together, because she's much more vivacious and outgoing. She likes people, she likes a good time. And obviously it might have balanced him out a bit because he likes people, but maybe it would be a bit of light and shade. But I honestly don't think that she was honest about her temperament and this and that, because their temperaments in terms of the way that she reacts to things and blows up is not in line with Henry whatsoever. I think because she's been seen to not be honest, I'm wondering if she was honest in the process. I don't think she was when she was being chosen. I think that she probably said what she thought would help her to get onto the show. And she's matched with someone who wouldn't have been a match if she'd been up front.
Oh, this is interesting. This raises an interesting point, because that tells you that personality differences aren't the major point, or aren't the major issues of contention. It's how we choose to communicate and how we present ourselves and the care we take with each other. Because almost everybody in the group is an opposite of some shape.
Yeah.
Maybe apart from Amelia and Bennett, who I want to tear up in a minute.
Oh, we'll give you that chance, don't you worry.
But opposites are, I mean, for me, Juanita and I are fairly opposite, and we balance each other out. I need Juanita in my life every day. And so I think that it's important, but then what makes us work is how we work with those differences. It's not that we have differences. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's one thing to say that differences are good and that we complement each other. Because I would say the same for me and my husband, but it doesn't make it easy, especially not in the beginning. And I would say my husband and I are in the beginning of our marriage, because the same things that balance you out are the same things that frustrate me, because I'm just like, I wish you were more like me. Because if you were more like me, you'd be so excited when I gave you presents, but you're not. And he's just like, that's just not me. And
hold on, Sophie, would you like someone just like you? Not to say you wouldn't want your husband, but would you appreciate someone just like Sophie?
This thing, no. We wouldn't work whatsoever. There'll be too many emotions flying about the house, emotions all over the place. Because I am I wouldn't say very emotional, but I think I'm much more in touch with like my feelings than my husband. Like, he's very much like, he was much more on the logical side in terms of if there's a decision, he's just like, he'll be like, the emotions are pointless. We just need to make a decision. I'm just like, how do we feel about it?
Yes.
How do we feel about it? And he's just like, Sophie, let's just make. So I can understand it helps, and it's really helped me a lot to put my feelings to the side in times when it's a situation I'm like, I can't have an emotional reaction. We need to get down to business. So it's definitely helped. But there are times when you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear what your partner's saying with their different opinion and their different personality. You're like, no, I want to act how I want to act, and you need to co-sign with me. But the point is, the balance should help you to be a better person.
I think, you know what, as you're saying about differences, it's making me think. I don't think differences are a problem. I think obviously, I think it depends on the type of differences that you're able to handle. So, for instance, like you're saying, I think even my missus, she's a bit more impatient than I am in certain things, and so because I was like, okay, cool. She's impatient. Okay, I have to kind of like recalibrate my mind and go, okay, cool. That's her thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's where the key thing comes in. Can you understand that difference? I think that's where you're able to be more tolerant. If you're not able to understand the difference, or there's not enough information to be able to understand the difference, then I think it becomes a very hard task. You're asking someone to do a lot of work. So though they had differences, Henry and Christina, I think you were asking a lot of Henry. You were asking Henry to become a counselor. Like, you're asking him to become a counselor for this woman. Like there's no beef against her. And also the same thing for her. You're asking her to be a counselor for Henry, because he's also got deep lining issues that he's also dealing with. A lack of I know we've spoken on this one before, but that part where he said, I don't care about the confidence. I said, you lying, Henry. You lying? You know you want to sort that out, but you're scared. And that's okay. Yeah. But he wasn't in a safe space to be able to say, actually, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with that point. I do want to be more confident. But because he felt like he was under attack, he went into, I don't care about the confidence. What's confidence? Confidence is nothing.
Well, let me ask you guys a question, because I need this from a man's perspective. So,
okay.
The beginning of the episode, we saw Henry having some sit-down talk with Woody.
Oh, yeah.
And being much more open than he was on the retreat, and a lot more open than we've seen him being with Christina at times.
Definitely.
What is it about being more open with your guys than with the woman that you're married to? Like, because I was just like, this is the level of honesty we need to be having with Christina. Why are we having this with Woody when Christina is the one you're in a relationship with?
Good question. Go on, Curse.
Why? I like that we did that. I think it's a combination of things. I think it's commonality, shared experience, and then secondly, which is alluding to is connecting this point to the next, is safety. So Christina is not a safe place, and I think you can easily be in a relationship where we can do everything but be honest, and that's because you're not safe. Because if I tell you what I'm really thinking, what you're going to do, you're going to fly off the handle, you're going to say things, you're going to chat to your mom, chat to your friends, you're going to cry. Can you just listen to me and hear me out because I'm already struggling with this thing as a guy. And if I think that I can't tell you, which is the fear that Woody and, we won't go there yet, they don't have. But probably because Amani has made... I'm going there, innit? Because she's made a safe space. She made it very safe from the earliest point. So Woody took a chance. Henry can't take that chance anymore.
He'd be shredded.
Because what she did was she tore him up before she gave him a chance to be open. So she exposed, basically what she did was, and this is about safety, she pulled his trousers down and then said, be honest with me. You can't do that, and that's why
that's a wild
he will go to a guy. Sorry, that was a funny analogy. Right?
I love it.
He will go to a guy expecting that, man, have you had this experience before? Or I can trust you, because guys don't really talk about guys' business. Yeah. So it's about, I think it's partly more about commonality and safety.
I agree with that. I think as well with Henry as well. I think, and if I make it general, even I think the weapon that can kill you the hardest is the person that's closest to you. So it's like the person who I'm allowing to be close to me has the weapons and the artillery and the tools to take me apart differently than if I have a genuine person outside of the scope of my intermediary, right? So when a man is now coming to a woman, he realizes at this point, I'm going to be vulnerable and weak, but I'm actually giving you ammunition that you could potentially use against me later on in life. You're not proven yet. And this is the thing, when in a relationship, you haven't proved. Henry and Christina had never proved yet that she was a safe space to hold information. Like if I know your mouth leaks, I'm not going to tell you certain things. So if I don't see that you've proved to me that you're a safe space to talk about certain things, I won't tell you. We do it with our friends as well. We know what friends we can go to tell them about your marriage. And you know some other ones you definitely ain't going to tell them about your marriage because they run around the whole town. But they're still your friend, but you know what you can tell them. And I think that's the same thing here, that the person has to prove that they are as safe for your information. You know what I mean? And they will keep that stuff to themselves. So I think that's why Henry can talk to everybody else but Christina. You know what I mean? I guess.
You know that when you say that, don't get me wrong, some guys are just stupid and got their chat because they're stupid like that. But it has to be considered if you find that your partner is not talking to you or talking to other people or likes to be around the guys, you really should at first ask yourself the question. Like, what am I doing to contribute to that?
Yeah,
and that's guys and girls have to ask those questions.
Yeah, Switzerland. You need a Switzerland in your relationship, yeah, man. So you were talking about the fact that Amelia and Bennett, isn't it? Amelia and Bennett. Now, obviously, they are our residents of happiness. They are our residents of, AKA go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? AKA compliment one another, write a letter, but it's not really about your missus, but it's about Pikachu, Pokemon card, or whatever. So this episode was interesting. I mean, he wrote a letter, and I don't know if Bennett did it on purpose. I don't know if Bennett was just not thinking. I don't know if Bennett just thought this would be cute and it'd be funny. Maybe this is part of our relationship kind of thing.
Bro,
I don't know.
Bennett is Bennett. That couple smelled of Lenore until that moment. If they walk past, they flowers and birds are flying around them, but the cracks will show. And I saw this week was that Amelia was showed that she was affected by his lack of care. I think that having fun is one thing, but now she's seeing actually. I think Bennett is. I got a lot to say.
Go for it. This is the day to day, boy.
You know them guys who their mum's always bringing them a cup of tea in bed. When you come home and your clothes are folded and your bed is made for you. Sophie, am I lying?
Sophie not laughing because she put her tongue into the side of her mouth. She was like, I know this one. Like, I
don't date boys like that. No.
No, I'm not saying you dated boys. I'm just saying
that's a red flag. That's a red flag.
Bennett ain't ever seen a kitchen. He ain't ever seen a washing machine. He ain't ever seen. And I'm not disrespecting the guy, but I probably am in a way. I don't mean to. But I think that he's had a light life. And that is a self-centered life. And Amelia was just like, hello, can you just show me some? I think they've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the honeymoon nest has made them not even see. It's blinding. It blinds all of us at first. There's a lot you don't see. But then when it all starts to melt down and you're like, right, okay, this is who you are. You're all about you. You're all about you. Am I lying?
Do you know what? I'm going to stick up for Bennett a little bit.
Oh no!
Because I think that he just misread the situation. That's what I think. I honestly felt that letter. I was confused because I thought it was about to go somewhere deep, but it didn't. He just literally talked about his Pokemon card.
No, it was deep. You just missed it. Missed it.
Okay, it was deep in the wrong way. And then there's probably a bit of lacking of emotional intelligence there because she went first. If me and my husband had to read a letter and I heard what he wrote and I'm like, oh snap!
You better make something up, man.
Yeah, I would have just started lying. I'm gonna be honest. I'd have been like, and the card reminds me of its worth. Like my wife, and I would just come up with something because I'm like, I we've all been there. You've been in a meeting, you've been in a conversation, and things turn. You're just like, oh snap! Oh, okay. Let me time to think on my feet.
Yeah, yeah.
He missed it. He missed it. But I think in general, maybe this is a reach, but when he was saying, "Get the card, protect it because it's worth £20,000 and you don't even make that in a year," I was just like, sorry.
I think that's where a lot of people were, especially in the threads.
I was just like, Bennett. I was just like,
that was too deep for you, isn't it? It was too deep.
Well, I was just like, first of all, I'm just like, maybe he's worried about money. Maybe that's what he's worried about because he's not making a lot. But I said to myself, 20 grand. Why are you so reluctant to pick up and move to where she is and she's a doctor?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was saying the same thing. You can't open your mouth.
Because when I got married to my husband, we were living in different cities when we got engaged, should I say? Not going, and we were like, who's gonna move? And then we found out a system of who was gonna move according to my job. Then allowed me to work from home, so I was able to move to where he was, into his city. But if I'd have been on some 20 grand job, you'd have been like, babe,
let's down.
Get your ass down in now.
Babe,
he opened the front door and you was there.
Is there? Why are you even opening?
Babe, you can find a 20 grand job someone else. You don't even need a degree for that. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm just like, and he was like, I don't even have a lot going on for me. And I'm just like, then pick up and move and go and start a life somewhere else and get on. Confused.
He's light. He need a little fire on his tail. He need a little fire on his tail to say, wake up, because how you live on that wage and eat and pay bills, how do you live on that wage? And don't get me wrong, you can earn whatever wage you want, but when you're married, you have to turn up a little bit different. And he's got to, for him to say, I don't know what I'm gonna. He wants to do. I don't know. I think he does entertainment. I think
theatre director.
Yeah, and there's gonna come a time when that is not gonna work, bro. And COVID must show you that. So it's like, I know he's built his house, he can just live, but he's got to buy food. Man, if my wife was like, look, man, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna move to Manchester. I'm like, yeah, I'm there as well, innit? If I'm on 18 grand a year, I'm coming with you. I'm not even like, be difficult about it. No.
This is
I
true.
don't understand it, but we've got Marquella.
Oh, you see it, yeah.
I don't know. Sorry if I've gotten your name wrong, my love. But she was saying Bennett had his own place and was making his own making do on his own though. That's true. And Amelia was living with family. I think she was living with family personally out of convenience, not because she couldn't get her own place. I think Bennett, COVID has probably affected his finances a lot, but I think for what he's making at the moment, I don't understand why there's a reason why he can't try it somewhere else for a bit and see how it goes, because
he's selfish. He's self-centered.
I don't know. I think he's just not with it. I just think he's just not with it, Curtis. I feel like he seems a bit naive in life. So I think some things that he just doesn't really clock onto at the moment, because even when she called, and props to her, she said to him, I thought it'd be more about me. And he was just like, what? What do you mean? I was just like,
I get that.
He's just not with it sometimes.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine that, you know what? I think it's fine that he wanted to stay, but I think on your own, remember that it's you and it's only you. When you are now going to get married, you now have to sacrifice the you in order for the team. Okay, and I think that's where the issue is, because like she had a residency and she's going to earn quite a lot of money, and her idea, and the thing is maybe the inner man of Bennett starting to come out, you know what I'm saying, where it's like, hold on, I'm following her all the way around, because she already said from the beginning she was going to be a doctor. She said she wanted a man that was going to be able to stay at home because of her job was going to be quite demanding. So she already established this is what she wanted. No, I'm being real. She, from the very beginning of the episodes when she started, she said all of this. You know, she said all of this. So when you and Bennett, when you've encountered her, you know, this is what she had dreamed up in her head, that she was going to have a man that was going to be at home. As far as she was concerned, looking after the kids. What else did you say? She was like that. Yeah, that was going to be his job. Why wouldn't that be his job? He doesn't earn enough. You don't have a choice, bro.
Is the millennial sinking in now?
You don't have a choice here, sir. You don't earn enough. You understand? Like, it's that simple. You don't earn enough to have a discussion point here. You need to go where she is. Yeah, you need to go where she is. Okay, and then work it out from there. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to beef it. I'm just saying.
No, but do you know what? It's true, and maybe
no one's living in that house without a toilet, please.
I don't mind. I don't mind my husband wanting to be a stay-at-home dad. That's not an issue. But I would want him to have something that he was passionate about.
He is passionate about the house.
Passionate about staying at home.
Yeah.
I think. But I would.
He's like, nah. See, so if you don't even believe it with your chest, you don't believe that with your chest. She's like, I wouldn't mind my husband stay at home, but he should have something going on. Huh?
I'm like, yeah, I think that's because my dad always had something going on, and sometimes it wasn't always the job that he wanted to do, but he was like, I have a family, so needs must. So for me, I don't mind the guy staying home if I'm earning a lot, but I don't know. I would want a guy who's got his own little passion. A passion.
Yes, it's the arts. It just doesn't earn enough, as you heard yourself.
You know what? That would be fine. If he was passionate about the arts and doing his thing and had time to do the kids and things like that, that's fair enough. Fair enough for Bennett. But yeah.
Everybody has to hustle, man. Everyone should hustle.
That's why I say he's got to go where she is. He ain't got a choice. That's why he's.
Yeah, I think he does.
5, 10, 15 grand a year. Just hustle. Everybody needs to do something.
Every little helps. If your wife's earning a big enough job and you're in a job that doesn't earn as much money, I don't have an issue with that. It's just that, well, yeah, as Fiona said, he's a CEO of his theatre company. He can grow and make more money, and that's going to give him more flexibility in his job than being a doctor would.
Hey, listen, bills don't get paid by air, man.
I mean,
you can't just build a house. You can't just build a house and think that tax won't come to you. Taxes are still coming. You're on a land where taxes are up to people's ears. So he's got to find a way. That's all I'm saying. Again, whether they choose to stay here or go there, at the end of the day, at the moment, I think he can compromise. I think he can go where she is because he doesn't earn that much at the moment. He can he can reset this company in another area, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? Otherwise, if you're saying we should stay here, then she's got to find a way to change that residency. And if there's no way to change the residency, then we're going to be stuck. So I think a compromise here is just like, listen, bro, you can pack up your... Like, for instance, I do YouTube full time now. If, per se, my missus has to stay in London, I've got to pack up my stuff and be like, Megan, because I can move. So we have to work with what we're working with within that situation 100%. And not try to be stubborn like, oh, because I like my area and I've got mad connects here. Yeah, I'm mad comfortable in Birmingham. Trust me, I don't want to be anywhere near London. But if I can move and it would help the relationship, I'm going to move. Because again, it's not it's a team thing. And I think that's the major thing we're looking there.
It is, and it's really difficult, especially when you've grown up somewhere, because I lived in London and then I moved to where my husband was. And when we first got married, if there were arguments, I'd be like, but I moved cities for you.
You won every single argument. That's how you won it.
You feel right? I moved my life for you. But you're right. You can't. I had to get to the point and I had to be like, I can't keep saying that. It was a choice. You didn't force me. And I did what was best for our marriage. And I can't hold that against you now. And I have to be on board with the decision that we both made because it was best for the team. And it's very difficult. Like, marriage is a shift into thinking of a we. And the marriage counsel that my husband and I went to before we got married, he was just like, it takes 7 years for you to start thinking as a we. He was like, it takes 7 years. That's what studies show for you to actually have oneness. Yeah, oneness. And I was just like, so all this time you're trying to learn how to think about the other person before yourself, or think about the team before the central person. So it is a shift when you have to move somewhere for someone, but a lot of the couples have to realize you're not thinking for yourself now, and a lot of people still are thinking for themselves.
Absolutely.
Okay, I hear that. Obviously, we can touch on it briefly. Olivia was moving out of the home with Amani. And she mentioned something that I thought was quite interesting. Brett was still texting her. He even texted her to say, "Do you want to go out?" And then text her after to say, "Hey, it's fine if you want to move on, etc., etc." What do you guys think about that?
That's because he's with someone else.
Okay, I would have agreed with you, but they showed that snippet for next week, and it was him saying, "Well, if she wanted to work, I don't want to be alone." So I think those two gave up too easy. I think they had more going for them than Henry and Christina. And I don't think that Olivia would be done. Like, if Brett came back on his hands and knees,
she'd take him back.
Of course,
she would take him back. So I think I was in two minds. Him asking her out to hang out, I'm just like, okay. Then saying you can see other people, I'm like, have you moved on, or are you trying to see if she's moved on with some reverse psychology? I don't know.
That's
Sophie,
it. Go on.
I'm gonna talk to Kojo for a second.
Go on, sir.
Bro,
boy to boy thing. You already know.
Okay, let me.
That brother.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
He's got something else going on.
Yep, he's testing the waters.
He's probably just been lashed with some guilt, and he's there lying in the bed, probably on the bed with his hand up by his ears, and he's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And he's texting saying, "What are you saying?" Listen, I reckon Brett has just gone out there and done his thing, because it's been how many days since he had sex? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's been a long while.
And he's been married. Man's got to just. Yeah, sorry, Sophie. As I was saying, he done a thing. It's simple as that. And he feels a bit guilty.
If he's done a thing, do you think it's made him think, actually, I had something there and I've given up on marriage? Now that he's maybe scratched that itch, he's like, actually...
Yeah, probably temporarily.
Maybe I should be with my wife.
Probably temporarily. If I'm honest with you, it's temporary. Whatever he's feeling is temporary for Olivia. He's not. Listen, it's called testing waters, bro. You text them, say, look, you want to go out? He's testing the water, see where she is, what she's going to respond with. And then you text the person, listen, if you want to go and do your thing, you can go and do your thing. What kind of text is that, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like that sounds even like you're trying to even control the destiny of the person. You can, if you want to, you can go on now. Go on if you want to. Go on whenever you want to go. All right, I didn't need your permission in the first place. You left. Do you understand? Yeah. So, and the whole glass thing as well, the shot glass thing was a bit petty as well. He didn't take the shot glass as well. And I was just like, bro, like,
my man took the spices out the cabinet. That's low.
That's why I said he's petty.
The pepper and the paprika. I'm just come on.
But she spent all her money on trips and holidays. Yeah, he put his money into the house.
Nah.
His spices. What's wrong?
You're not gonna do that for him. No way.
No.
That's petty.
Bad man behavior. Bad behavior.
He was going home to make cookies, so he needed some cinnamon. What was he supposed to do?
No. That was so petty of him. Honestly, it was so petty. Honestly, I couldn't deal with him. I couldn't deal with him. Obviously, we can move on to my favorite too.
Okay. Yes.
Because I know you're sweating on this now. Okay, our favorite two. Go on, Seth. You know, go. Yeah, I can see you burning. Go.
Okay, so,
I release you. Go on.
Something. So, talking about Brett and scratching that itch leads to what's their name?
On, Sophie. Come on.
You got it.
Talks about Bennett announcing we've had sex.
Oh,
and then
yes.
We saw Miles looking like the child who just got told that Santa's not real. Like, is everybody getting some apart from me? Yes, they are, Miles.
You're bad, Sophie.
Look, sorry for
my thing is, when him and Woody were sitting down talking about it, and they were talking about, I haven't had sex, how you're supposed to commit your life to somebody, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to know, what do you guys think about that? This idea of you can't commit to somebody who you haven't had sex with to know what it's going to be like. Because that's what Woody was like, if you could stay together and the sex would be terrible. So the thing you need to do is sample it so you can know whether to hang in there. And I was just like,
My Bible says we shouldn't be fornicating.
I said, let me save this question for Kojo and Curtis. That's what I said. I'm like, let me ask my men on the panel.
The Bible's very clear. Bible's very clear.
What he said.
Bible's very clear on that one, sis.
but interestingly,
go on, Curtis,
interestingly, statistically, there is no correlation with having sex or trying it before you buy it. There's no correlation between that and success. Absolutely none. In fact, if there's any correlation, it's the opposite. Meaning that people who have sex before marriage tend to either not get married or break up anyway. Yeah. And it's a mad percentage as well. So the logic is, let's get to know each other before we, on every level. Yeah. But really what you're saying is sex is going, the level of sex, the type of sex or having sex is going to bond us to establish our relationship and find out if we really are. What you're really saying is that sex will define us. Yeah. Or determine how successful we're going to be. Yeah. I agree. But in all honesty, that's thinking as far as your nose. It's a very short-term way of thinking, right? So for me, if you ask me, I remember back in the day, logic, no. Logic says yes, but the stats say no. Simple.
And I think, I think when the way that we talk about sex in society, or the way that sex sells everything, sex is everywhere, we don't look at sex as something that gets better with time. We link it to, it's something that you have with someone, and the sex that you have is the sex that you have. Yeah. If that's how it is, it's always going to be like that. And when I did my marriage counseling again, before I got married, our counselor was just like, statistics show that sex gets better the more you do it. It gets better as you get married. Like, as you're married, it gets better within the marriage because you work on it, you get to know the person. And I felt that what Woody said was a little limiting, because I'm just like, even having sex with her now doesn't mean that it's going to be like that in a year's time or 5 years time. And I think we do a disservice to sex when we make it out like the first experience you have with somebody is going to determine exactly what it is, because we don't say that about any other part of our marriage. You know what I mean? We wouldn't say the way that you love them at the wedding day is the maximum you can. The way that they react to something is never going to change if they want to work on it. Everything can be worked on. So I think that with Miles, I think that was kind of limiting what he said, but I do think that Karen not being willing to have sex is making it very clear that she only sees this as a very good friendship. I don't,
you can say it, sis.
The question that I have for Karen in terms of, she's waiting to know if she can trust me. And I'm just like, I would have said, how many men have you waited 4 months plus to have sex with, Karen? Because I'm pretty sure you're not a virgin. So
bada bing,
how long did you make them wait? Because I'm pretty sure there's some guys you slept with in under 4 months, and I'm married to you. So don't shot me that line about waiting to feel comfortable with someone so you don't have to do it. And I'm the sort of guy, and he's a good guy who's going to sleep in the bed with you and be like, I'm gonna wait. Just be honest that you're not into this. Don't make it seem like it's about time. It's not about time. She's lying. She's lying. They lived together through a pandemic. What more do you need to see from him?
I don't know.
Listen, I think she's slightly waking up now. I think they've both slightly woke up. Miles is like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
Karen is like, sugar, I need to get to know this guy. I tell you, man, just self-deceit is a thing,
Go on, sir.
Self-deceit is like, some people are waiting. It's like, one of my colleagues got a car, and she's driving a car, and the engine management light is on. You know what that light means. that yellow light with the engine sign in it, right? It means there's a major problem, and usually the problem is expensive. Yeah. And about a month, she's driving a car, and she goes, "Yeah, the fan's always rolling." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I said to her, "You got to fix that because the engine's gonna mash up." Then she said, 2 weeks later, I said, "How's the car?" She goes, "The same." I'm like, "You really gonna wait for the car to mash up on you? Go." I said to her, "If you take it to the garage, let them tell you what it is, so you can see if you can get it fixed for cheap." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2 weeks after that, still going. And then she's like, "I'm changing the car because the damage that is done to the engine is worth more than the car."
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, are some people really going to wait to that point where they got to change everything and it's not even worth changing now? Do you know what I mean? The damage is so bad that my man could walk away. And I'm glad, you know what? He went a lot longer than I would have ever done. Do you know what I mean? And if it was Karen, I would have left to see if she would have woke up. I couldn't take that level of, and I call it abuse, man. You know, it might be mild, but it's still abuse. To take that level of abuse for that period of time, for her to still call me your friend, you're crazy. Still trying to get to know me. Let me tell you, man, Miles is the man. He is going to make someone very happy.
There's a lot of ladies waiting out there, boy.
He is going to get snapped up once his process is done. And I think he's saying, oh, it's funny because Miles is just like, oh, I'm not sure about decision day. If she slept with him, he wouldn't be going nowhere. Like, let's be honest. If she gave him one before the day, he'd be like, this marriage is all right.
She don't hold my hand. She don't talk to me. She puts me down, but we're hitting it. So it's all good. Man. We're going to work it out.
Honestly, absolutely 100%. And I think the biggest problem with I think that Miles is engaging with Karen or seeing with Karen is the fact that it's not, the sex is one thing, but I think there's no intimacy on the physical aspect in general. So it's like there's not even a promise of that, because the physical is meant to at least show you some type of promise, you know, some hug, you know, a little bit of a kiss, maybe, you know what I'm saying, very close to you, you know what I'm saying, like it looks like you're forcing kisses. Like he said to Woody that he's the one that initiates every physical contact. Now, for me, that tells me a lot. If you're having to always do the physical contact and you're having to initiate it, first of all, this is not healthy. No. It's not healthy for either of you, because this girl might be just doing it out of the fact that, you know, I'm tired now, I can't bother to fight you on this, and this is my level. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just work on this level, whatever. All right, and that's just going to build up resentment. Not only that, what has been in the back of my mind, I think, since episode 9, when they spoke to Dr. Viviana, and when she said something, I said I was scared. She said that Dr. Viviana was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm telling you, this does not make sense. She was saying that basically that Karen doesn't want to initiate any physical contact on that kind of level because the fire, she's scared that basically the fire will erupt, basically. Not for her, but that Miles, she's basically saying that Miles will basically get too excited about the fact that he can take it further, and therefore Karen doesn't want it to go further, so she doesn't engage in it at all. And that for me is scary, because what you're saying is, and this leads back to the point of her saying she felt unsafe, you're saying this brother here is an abusive type of brother, and that in itself, which we can see, I don't personally see him as being an abusive brother, is abusive in itself, because you've gaslighted the person to make the person feel like they're an unsafe being. If that is the case, we need to get her out of this relationship, because I don't condone abuse. I really don't.
No, I think she was just trying to say she doesn't want to lead him on inappropriately, because I got Angela has said on here, I do. Angela said on there, Angel, you've got a point. It is an abnormal situation. This is a very abnormal situation. So I can understand waiting, but I'm also with Kojo. You don't just have to have sex. She's not giving him anything. And I don't think that there's, fair enough, it's abnormal. Yes, there's cameras. Yes, you're away from your normal environment, but hugging your husband in bed, giving him a cuddle, giving him some sort of physical. And the thing is, a lot of times men are made out to kind of be predators in terms of sex. Do you know what I mean? In the media or whatever. And you know, the high proportion of men, the men are the ones who usually do a lot of physical abuse or like sexual abuse. So that is true. It is true. But when you're in a relationship with any guy I've been in a relationship with, like, they want any sort of physicality, hand holding, hugs to be mutual. It's not just a man who's always wanting to, I'm always happy to initiate any. That's not true. They want to feel desired as well. They want to feel like they're wanted as well. They don't want it just to be like, all right then. Like Olivia said, I told him, I'm not going to deny you, so don't. And he's just like, but I want
that is sour milk right there.
And so I think she's underestimating that. Well, he's a guy, so it's always gonna come. I'm just like, no, men want to be desired too. So you not giving him anything is what speaks to me. It's not just about the sex. It speaks to me the whole. And you saw it in this episode when they went away. There's times when he's putting his arm around her or touching her, she's always just like
stiff as a board.
Stiff, not giving anything.
I don't do rejection, man. I don't do rejection. That I just feel so. When I was watching it, I was angry. I was angry, and it's. I guess again, I don't think Karen should do more than what she wants to do. Apart from one thing, just be honest.
Yeah.
If she doesn't like the guy or if it's too soon, say so. Don't find silly excuses and don't have other people change their behavior because you're uncomfortable. Be honest. Don't put me down and show off and try to assert power over me. Remember that game when they were throwing that thing? I was watching it again and I was like,
yeah.
The guy was being vulnerable at that point, and she still couldn't respect it. She had to catch that thing and get it on that. It's a really good game actually. Get it on that fence thing.
I need to get that game. That game was fun.
I want that game, man. And she didn't allow that vulnerability. She didn't embrace that vulnerability. She had to still win the game and be empowered in that respect. And I thought, I just don't appreciate that behavior. Because
what do you mean? As in, she should have let him win the game? Is that what we're saying, guys?
Yeah.
No way.
Hey, I can't co-sign. I need him to explain what he meant. I've got him to explain what he means.
I'm joking. No. What I'm saying is that I could see in her that instead of meeting him at a vulnerable level, I'll tell you a quick story actually. Instead of meeting him at a vulnerable level, she was focused on winning on that thing or aiming on that thing. She didn't embrace him.
I get what you're saying.
And so she didn't want to connect with him. Funny enough, when Winnie and I were dating, I'm rubbish at basketball and she lashed me at Trocadero and Piccadilly Circus, right? And I looked at her and I thought, you enjoyed that, innit? You enjoyed that. That's not good for men, It's not good for men. If you're better than me at something and we're dating, show me that I'm anyway, I'm only joking. But yeah, I think that she didn't meet him. and she's not, even though she's woken up to the point of this guy is actually changing the way he's thinking, she still didn't even try to bring it back and say, let me see if I can salvage this. Scary. But that's how some of these guys that we're talking about, they're so far from being able to just do fundamental things of having a relationship. I think on a fundamental level, sometimes it just kind of, it's extremely frustrating to watch. Yeah.
And like I said, I think even in that scene, I think one thing I picked up was that when he was, I think this is also part of, I guess, the thing that she's not comfortable with, which is that during the process of the game, he really does hype man business. Like if you want a hype man, Miles is your hype guy. Yeah, because even when she was busting his ass with the game, she was beating him. He was hyping her up, and it got to a point where she was like, "Just stop it, just stop it." And I was like, and I was like, "Oh, my!" But she didn't say it with any tone that was aggressive or anything. But I remembered that this is not the first time. This is not the first time she said stop it. We've had several instances where if he tries to be complimentary towards her, she will say stop it. Even if he gasses himself, there was a scene where I think some episodes back where she was saying that she likes the color red, and he was like, "Oh, what you mean like when your husband wears a crimson red suit for the wedding day?" She was like, "Stop it." Right, but that stop it. Like when people do, like I always say this, when sometimes people are doing jokes, there's an underhanded current that's underneath it. It's not that they're joking with you; they are underhanded. Exactly. And I felt that she said that so many times now. It's like there's a passive aggressive energy in what she's saying. So even when in that moment, even though she said stop it and it wasn't heavy, because I've seen so many instances of her doing stop it. Yeah, go, bro.
No, I'm saying you know what it is. You know what it is.
Oh,
even when it's done harsh or when it's done soft, we know what it is. And it's not what you're saying. It's that that's how she's choosing to handle affection. I mean, interestingly, I'm saying it again. There should be a part of the vetting process. Maybe it's possible where people are assessed on if they can handle a relationship. Because Karen clearly Christina cannot handle a relationship right now. And maybe there's a way of faking the process, but some guys are not. It's not that they never should. It's just right now, they're just not. They just haven't got that capacity.
Do you know? I don't know if Karen doesn't have the capacity for a relationship, because I think if it had been somebody who, for her, would have been a masculine, as she wanted, man, a typical masculine man, and I say that in quote marks, I think that we would have seen a very different Karen. And I think when she tells him to stop it, is her stopping him doing things that I think she feels borders on effeminate.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that she hasn't been able to get her head round. And I think it's going to be to her detriment in letting go of a guy that is a very good guy. Like any guy, he's just a good guy.
Are we saying he's a good guy because we like him or because she should like him?
I don't think she should like him. This is my thing. You don't have to like him. Like you said, Curtis, she just needs to be honest. Because this is the argument I had, because I've been reading some of the threads, right? And some of the threads, they really want to back Karen. And I just can't do it. I love my black women, but I want to be honest. In this particular case, we've got to call out bad behavior. And as much as someone might say it's edits, there's only so many edits the person can do that they're making you look like a bad person. You know what I mean? Like, how many do you want? Like, I don't
think she.
I'm not saying she's bad, basically.
Yeah, I think she's just not into him. And the thing is, we saw the couples games, they won.
Yeah, they did.
And it's not a thing that they don't know each other or they don't understand each other. And Miles said it on this episode. He went, Karen and I talk and we can see why they put us together. Like, we have so much in common. We get along, blah, blah, blah. But the sexual spark for her, I just think it's not there. And she treats him like a friend. And he is happy to have more. She is not. And I think if he had been whatever it is that she thinks is a man, I think that.
But they won that game because Miles expresses himself.
Ooh.
And she got a good memory. It's not because of we talk and he talks.
Yeah, he does. And he pushes and encourages her to probably be more open than she would be. And someone's asked, God loves couture, do you guys think she is feminine?
I think she's feminine.
Yeah, I would say that I guess she's not the height of female femininity that we link femininity to. Yeah, she's not gonna be like, I just want to stay at home and cook for my man all day and
that's
clean the house. That's a feminine quality. Yeah, it's not necessarily all females are like that, but that's what we would understand femininity. Or she wants to wear a dress all the time and wear makeup all the time. So I wouldn't say that she is the typical feminine, but I don't think that. Yeah, I think she's definitely a woman who I could be friends with or see and been like, yeah, she's a woman. Like, there's nothing out of the ordinary with her femininity, I would say.
I think, I think her defensiveness takes away from her femininity. That's the issue. It's not that she's not feminine. It's her defensiveness and her inability to be emotional with, vulnerable with Miles, that takes away from her femininity. So when someone's asking that question, I see Karen as a feminine woman, but unfortunately, the guardedness is actually very masculine. It's very masculine energy. You know what I mean? I would say it's very masculine energy. I'm not saying it's good to be like that. And Lucas is like, no. But I would say that it's masculine energy. To guard yourself like that, it's masculine energy.
I think it's tough because obviously what we don't want to do is link the idea of femininity to being vulnerable. And that's what we do in society. Like, if you're vulnerable, then, that's feminine. And that's why guys shouldn't be like that because it's masculine.
No, you gotta be vulnerable.
Men have to be vulnerable. And it's not a feminine quality. It's just a quality that human beings need to have. You need to be vulnerable to a certain extent in order to be in any relationship. So I would say, yeah, I can understand what you mean about the masculine energy, but I think it's just because she's not into him sexually. So I think as a woman, and as I would do, if I knew that there was a guy who was really interested in me and I wasn't, I would have that same sort of very clear energy of, you know, you're not to touch me or not to this or not to that, because you're like, she's not giving me any sort of sign that she's into it. And I think that's what she's doing. She's making a very clear boundary line of, he's not getting it confused. I don't want anything with you.
From early on, I would have just been like, look, it's clear you're not attracted to me. I'm cool with it. Just tell me. But if you want me, you got to show me something. I'm giving you 7 days. I'm not talking about sex. I'm just saying, show me something. Show me something. But you got 7 days to show me something.
We got this ultimatum, scares. You're just like, you have 7 days, Karen.
Because we're husband and wife, we're not in a relationship. So I feel like I'm in touch to say, if you are interested in pursuing me in any way, show me more, or I'm out. I think that we have to talk like that in relationship. Now, obviously, I wouldn't do that now. Even if my wife was giving me trouble like that, even if she was, I wouldn't do that now. But I think at that stage, in that circumstance, it requires Miles from month 2, 3, put your foot down, mate. Now he's doing it. Now he's doing it in a very passive way. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I think as well that you realize, I think you realize in relationships, you don't have to wait until marriage to realize this, but I don't think, maybe it's because of Miles's age. A lack of physicality is a sign that something else is going on in the relationship. Like, if you're, as you were saying just now, Kez, because it made me think, you were saying if Juanita acted like that, you would be like, it would be different now you're married. Because if Juanita suddenly didn't want to have any sort of physical intimacy, you know there's something else going on. It's not that, it's not the sex. There's something going on, and that's what I need to talk about. And I think Miles is just assuming, oh, it's just that she doesn't want to be intimate. I'm like, no, there's something else going on, and you need to get to what that root cause is, because there's something that's driving this.
I'd have told her. I would have told her. All we need to know now, all we need to know is the 4 months they've lived together.
Yeah.
Miles says she hasn't initiated a kiss, not even accidentally, touching the shoulder, nothing. Listen, sex is one thing. I mean, you can get sex and not get any affection like that. They're completely different things. And I tell you something, if I was getting sex and not getting any affection, at some point I would have said, what's going on?
Added to that, just to add to that, you know that she obviously said in the last episode that affection for her, showing affection is natural, and yet I'm not seeing no natural ability right now. You know what I mean? It's like the person telling they can play football and they touch ball and the ball come off the leg. It's like, bro, you said you could play ball and I'm not seeing no techers and no skills, and it's the exact same thing. So that's why I'm saying that there's something we're not seeing. Like, nobody's asked Karen to be sexual on the screen. We're not asking you to do anything extra. You're showing us on the screen that you don't really want to get close to him. So there's something not connecting.
You guys, come on. You've had women who have been interested in you. You haven't liked them, and you don't accidentally touch their shoulder either. You don't guide them out the room with your hand on the small of their back. You don't do it because you're like, I don't want to give them any sort of mixed message. Exactly. So you're just kind of like, I'm gonna keep it very like. Let me tell you, funny. Every time I speak to Curtis, I love it. He's like, sis, yes, sis.
I was gonna say, that's my thing.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, this is a man who has very clear boundaries with women that he speaks to, and he speaks them on a level to know what sort of relationship it is that we have. Men know how to make those boundaries clear. Women know how to make those boundaries clear. And the fact that she hasn't even touched him in passing,
bro,
it's not an accident. It's conscious. She's made a conscious mental decision not to show him any affection.
People, we have to learn from Sophie. She knows what she's talking about, you know. The world needs to know what you're talking. They need to know. You need to know, like, I like when I listen to you, Sophie, I could tell it's so important, and I probably part it down to your personality type. and the fact that you're so expressive, that it's so important to be open and honest about your marriage journey or your relationship journey. It's so important, man. Just put it out there. Have no fear. This is who I am. This is who I feel. This is how I feel. This is what if you want to, this is what I've been through. This is how I feel. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. I don't know why. I'm just putting it out there. This is how I feel. Just say it. Just say it.
And she's not. She's not. And he's trying to interpret. And it's very clear. And I think if he had gone on this a few years later, I don't think he would have been confused by the signs, because the signs are very clear.
He would have matured. And the problem now, I saw him in the review show, and he's got his hair cut different. He's got more of a beard going on. I'm like, Miles looking like the man now.
He's been losing weight.
He's done a few things. Miles is the man now. So it'd be interesting to see how these next few weeks go.
Yes, I can't wait to see.
Well, guys, that brings us to the end of our conversation today. I hope you guys enjoyed the spectrum of viewpoints. I could tell today we had some of us we disagreed. I like that. Today we didn't always agree. I saw some of our faces like that point was a bit, you know what I mean? And I love that, you know what I mean? You can't always agree, so I appreciate that as well. I hope you guys really did enjoy the conversation. If you have your viewpoints, when the video ends, just comment on underneath it. As well. Hopefully we'll get to check out, obviously the episode comes out I guess tonight for Americans, but for us it'll come out tomorrow, but we'll hopefully get to see a bit more into the journeys and stories of all the people on the show. Again, I want to thank my very polished panelists. I'm going to let them say their goodbyes and plug where they can be found, and we'll conclude and go along our way tonight. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll go first. Listen, this is Marriage UK. We have conversations. We've been doing it for the last 4 years around marriages, divorce, being single, in relationships, dating, you name it. We talk about it and we help people navigate that journey. So visit This Is Marriage UK on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you.
And I am Sophie Hannah, content creator on YouTube. So follow me at I am Sophie Hannah. I'm also on a show called Ethnically Speaking, which is on YouTube. So type that into the search bar. Check out some of the episodes. But follow me on Instagram as well. I am Sophie Hannah. Follow me, trying to get my numbers up this year. So yeah, just go over there right now and press follow.
Beautiful. Guys, thank you very much again for joining us. We're going to love you and leave you. Again, don't forget to leave your comments down below, and make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe. And we'll be back here next week. Okay, 7:30. We're going to continue part 2 of our conversation. That was a very intense conversation yesterday, boy. We're going to continue part 2 of our conversation, talking about marriage again. All right. And then we'll be back here next week, Wednesday, hopefully, with some good news about Karen. Hopefully. Goodbye, guys.